Hello and welcome to my review of the Solar Auxilia battle group for Warhammer, the Horus Heresy from Games Workshop. Now, one of these box sets will cost you £130 and consists of a Dracosan armoured transport, a 20-man Solar Auxilia las rifle section, a 5-man command section, an Aethon heavy sentinel, and a Leman Russ strike tank. To pick up all of these units, models individually would cost you about £204. So you are saving £70 here, which means you're kind of getting the Dracosan and the command unit for free. It's a good set. Games Workshop unfortunately don't sell it directly anymore, but you can probably pick it up from a third-party seller, maybe save yourself an extra 20% off of it too. Apologies that the review for this set has been a long time coming. Games Workshop decided to release Mechanicum not that long after the release of Solar Auxilia, so I was kind of in a position where I was building both at the same time, and they also added newer units to this force. I think there's 5 extra units they've added to Solar Auxilia since this box set came out. Those are the reasons why it's taken so long, but I hope you enjoy this review of the box set. We will be looking at each one of these units individually. I've done individual reviews for all of these, so just type in the name of the unit and you know, my review should pop up on YouTube. To start off with, I'll give you a quick brief. It's a great box set. It really is. It will take you longer to build than like the Mechanicum box set or even the Space Marine battle groups that you've had before, mainly because there are a lot of parts for all of the kits. You know, there's that Dracosan there, which is almost a £60 mini, most likely take you longer than the Triaros transport for the Mechanicum box set. The Leman Russ tank there on the right hand side, the strike tank, that will take you longer to build than the normal 40k Leman Russes, just because I think there's more parts, or at least the parts are more fiddly. There's a vehicle accessory sprue as well. The Aethon heavy sentinel also takes a bit of time, and there's multiple options both in terms of like the main gun and the weapons. That set itself, I would probably say, surpassed my expectations. It wasn't really on my radar. I thought it looked a bit goofy looking, this big sentinel with a gun that can't really traverse. You know, it can't oscillate at all. When you think about Solar Auxilia and you think about some of the tanks like the Malcador and the turret traversals limitations, it's par for the course really. You know, when you look at like the Dracosan with that front Gravis las cannon, it can't move left or right at all. Any degree you have to move it. It's like a hull mounted weapon. It can't, it's a front hull mounted weapon. It can only change its oscillation through, you know, the drivetrain of the actual tank. So again, its usefulness is very limited. Let's just go through each one of these units one by one in no particular order then. Let's talk about the 20 troops there. So these, again, they're quite straightforward to put together. The beauty about these is they didn't really have many, if not at all, any mold lines. They were quite quick to put together. There's a decent amount of customization in that I think in my review I said that the left arm holding the las rifle, it's not a las gun, it's actually better, is slaved to the right arm. That it will only fit those two, so that's the only thing you've got to be careful about. The legs, you know, you're getting basically 5 Auxilia that's duplicated in, you know, 4 sets. So the legs, you're going to have 4 sets of twins for legs, but all the torsos can go on any of the legs, and the same for the heads. You can pick any head, but there's not really hardly any variation in the helmets. They're very standard looking. No variation in the power plants. It is just mainly the legs and maybe the las rifles. The bayonets, these sharp pointy parts on the end of the gun, completely optional. You don't have to put them on. In my second set of 20, I'm going to leave them off next time. You've got some customization in terms of grenades. You can put a load of grenades on their belts and things. The sergeants are quite cool. There's a fair bit of customization with them. You know, you can have helmetless heads with them, or these fancy ones. You can have power swords, shinable blades, even power fists like this one. You can have hand flamers for their pistols. You can have plasma pistols. You can have needlers, las blasters, las pistols. You can't have any melter. You can't have any inferno pistols though, or bolt pistols, which is a bit odd, but there we go. And then you've got a couple of like specialized troops like the Vexilla and the Nuncio Vox, or whatever they call it, augury scanner as well. So those 20 are quite straightforward. I would have liked to have seen more poses. Most of them are aiming. I would have liked to have seen some just standing holding their las rifles, or more spare las rifles in the set so that they can actually attach them to the back of their power plant, because I actually think that there's a square hole there which looks pretty good for them to have them on. I think this Vox unit you know, shows it very well. There's like a square hole for the las rifle to just slot into, and I would have liked to have seen that happen more often, and more different arms not holding the las rifles, because you know they wouldn't be holding las rifles all of the time. Nice kit, not too much of a cleanup. In terms of these and the tech thralls, I'd probably say the tech thralls are quicker to put together if you were you know, comparing them as a horde army. And obviously Space Marines take a fair bit, especially like the Mark 6s with the shoulder pauldrons that are in 2 parts. Then we talk about the kit that took me the longest out of all of them and had the most parts, I think, which is the Dracosan. I like this tank. It's all right. It goes together quite well. I didn't really have many issues. You've got some customization options. You can have multiple different gunners there. Instead of this Gravis las cannon, you can have the Demolish cannon, which unfortunately reduces its transport capacity from 22 down to 10. So that then raises a question how useful it is, because it's quite expensive points wise, whether it's a bit of a waste just putting 10 you know, 1 wound Auxilia in there, or do you want to put some Velataris in there instead and give them some protection? And but it's an alright kit, goes together quite well. If you're used to building a Malcador, it's kind of the same chassis really, the same kind of length and things. It's just got this top armoured roof and things. I can imagine that there's at least 2 levels here, so you could probably think that there's maybe 10 below and maybe 10 above, or even 15 below and 5 above in this top section. But it's believable. You can probably put 20 troops in that one, especially with the Gravis las cannons. Then it's nice that the battle group also includes a Lehman Russ, and it's a good Lehman Russ. This is the strike variant, so you can have the Vanquisher cannon or the normal battle cannon, twinned heavy las cannons or auto cannons. So you've got 4 different weapons. I probably will pick a couple more of these up along with the 2 battle groups that I've got, because they're nice tanks. The weapons are good. You know, this hull mounted weapon can move quite well. It's in there snugly, so that's always a nice feature. The turret moves, but the actual cannon itself doesn't really you can't really change the firing angle that much, because it's a bit loose, so I ended up gluing the cannon. It might be different for the other weapon variants if you want to put those in, but it's a nice tank. It goes very well with the Force, goes well with the Malcador, and also goes well with the Lehman Russ assault tank, which I think has more weapon variants, like the Plasma and the Volkite, things like that. And then the unit that surprised me the most was the Aethon Heavy Sentinel. I really like building this. I thought it's quite cool. I like the missiles that you can pop them off and on and change them. I like this sort of top gun that, although it's not got the best firing arc, which is, you know, Auxilia all over. You can like aim it up or down quite well, and it fits in there quite snugly, so you've got some options of, you know, moving that about if you wish. But I thought this was an alright kit in the end, and it's kind of like Saur Auxilia's Contemptor in a way, but you know, no real melee strength. It's mainly just an armoured walking gun platform really, but in terms of like the size, it's their equivalent. You know, nowhere near the destructive power of a Thanatar, but definitely close to a Contemptor or Castellax at least. And then finally, just here, the command squad I thought was a bit lackluster, especially when you're paying £20 now for 5 of these. It seemed like the legs were similar to the rest of the range. You do get a fair few options to set them apart, but you know, like the Vexilla and the Augury Scanner and the Vox and the actual Captain or Marshal, whichever you want to, you know, build. It's got a fair few options. I wish there were more options though, and also this random command squad companion or whatever, it is just so bland looking. You can't really mod him much. You can easily just replace him with another Solar Auxilia. I wish that they would have put as much detail in this 5th one as they did for the other 4. It's a bit of a shame, you know, like with Space Marines, they often have a you know, 5th Space Marine with like a melter gun or something. It would have been nice to give him, you know, the command squad itself can have plasma guns, melter guns, things like that, but you don't have those in the kit. So that set is severely lacking in options. I wish there was an extra sprue that had a load of meaty weapons that you could, you know, have sprinkled into the las rifle units. I know they are las rifle units, but there could have been like a special weapons expert in those 2 sections, just to give them a bit more fight, because as they stand, they are literally just got las rifles, and then if you're lucky, your sergeant has got a power fist. Having that special weapon probably would have encouraged players to have smaller units of like 10 of them just for that special weapon though, but they would have given them a bit more of a bite. Now, what I will say is, in terms of the books, you've got the Liber Imperium book that came out, you know, 2 years ago in 2022. They did release this book here, The Battle for Beta Garmon, and very shrewdly, they released a couple of new units for Solar Auxilia, which is good. I welcome that, and I hope that they do that with Mechanicum. But of course, what they did is they released those, and then they only put their rules in this book, you know, so you've got the Aethon Heavy Sentinel rules came with the Solar Auxilia Battle Group box in the instruction guide, but they are wrong. I have to say that right now. I think it gives you an option for a grenade launcher, and the unit doesn't come with a grenade launcher. Whereas the rules in this book are correct, and you know, you've got them here, along with the rules for the Hermes or Hermes Light Sentinels as well. So there's, you know, 2 new units, but you can only find them in the book. It's not like Mechanicum, where they didn't release new units in that release, but they did release a Martian Civil War book where the only new datasheet rules really, apart from the traitor Mechanicum rules, was just extra rules for the Krios tank. And I can see some people becoming unstuck with having access to those rules when they release the 3 different variants of the Krios tank later on. But enough about Mechanicum. This set is great if you wanted to build your Solar Auxilia force up. You can't really have a full mechanized force out of this set because the Dracosan only carries 22, and of course you've got 25 sort of soldiers on foot really, and you can't squeeze any in that Sentinel, and you know, the Lehman Russ tank won't accommodate any either in terms of transport capacity. So you're gonna have most likely the command squad out in the open on foot, or you have the command squad in the Dracosan and then a unit of 10 in the Dracosan. It gets even worse if you were to equip the Dracosan with the Demolisher Cannon, then you'd have 15 out in the open. What would I change about the set? That would be a really good question. I think it contains everything you kind of need. I wouldn't swap the Heavy Sentinel with another 10 or 20 las rifles. I think that would take too much away from the kit. I wouldn't have included an extra Lehman Russ or take the Lehman Russ out. If anything, I probably would have included a plastic Aurochs, which can hold 10 troops, but I don't know how far they are in developing that, or when that new plastic tank is going to come out, but I hope it does. So in summary, it's a nice set. It's good to get you started. I don't think it's as good as the Mechanicum set, even though it contains 2 heavy support choices and an HQ and an HQ choice, compared to the Mechanicum set that only consists of troops and a transport. So there's more variety in this set, and it will take you longer to build, but I like the look of the Mechanicum set more. What do you guys think of this Solar Auxilia battle group? And I might as well ask you this, and I might as well take this opportunity to ask you what you'd like to see in another battle group, and also what plastic vehicles and units you'd like to see for Solar Auxilia later down the line. There will be an upcoming review of all of the new releases for Solar Auxilia. That's probably going to be my next video, and then later down the line there'll be a full collection video of all the Solar Auxilia, so 2 battle groups and the tanks and all the extra new units that I've picked up. So stay subscribed for that video. Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below. Be good to hear from you. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.